9th, 1799, roughly 15 years ago, the political structure of France was changed forever. Coming fresh off of the biggest revolution of the century, no one expected for the famed French general Napoleon Bonaparte, and now French legend, to take over the political structure of France. For this episode, the British government has granted us the privilege to interview Napoleon on the island of St. Helena after stranding at the Battle of Waterloo. From this, we seek to gain a never-before-seen perspective of Napoleon's rise to power in his political career. I am Monsieur Thomas, and you're watching 100 Minutes. Good afternoon, Mr. Bonaparte. Thank you for sitting down with us today. As you likely know, you're one of the most infamous figures in recent memory. And while much of the world has already formed their opinions about you and your leadership, we want to give you the opportunity to tell us your version of events.
Bonjour, buongiorno, and hello to everyone at home. It feels so good to be able to finally share the truth of my life and my events. I am ready to answer everything so that the truth may finally be heard to everybody at home.
Right. So let's start with the first question then. What can you recall about your rise to power during the later years of the French Revolution?
This is actually a bit of a funny story. So, it was about 1799. I had just come back from my expedition to Egypt, which was a major success with 0 failures. Anyways, I was just doing my thing, and when this peculiar fellow, man, I didn't know, Director Emmanuel Size, approaches me with an interesting offer. Yo, Napoleon, you should help me overthrow the Directory. And I was like, alright. The Directory, by the way, for everyone at home, was this council of 5 men at the top who made all the decisions and controlled all the laws in France. Of course, they had 2 groups underneath them, the Council of 500 and the Council of Elders. The Council of 500 made laws, and the Council of Ancients rejected or approved them. Of course, with every system that has a few people controlling all the power except for me, it got extremely corrupt. They benefited heavily off of war profiteering as well as benefiting the upper class. So it was obvious that they needed to go. On November 9th, me, C's, and a couple of other people put our plan into action. C's began to gaslight the Directory that the group known as the Jacobins were planning to overthrow them. So they came to me, the famous general, and they said, "Oh, Napoleon, you're so smart, cool, and handsome, and awesome. We need you to protect us from the Jacobin plot." And I was like, alright. But once I gathered them in a secure fortress outside of Paris known as St. Cloud, I forced the directors to resign, and as well as dissolving both of the councils. The perfect coup d'etat. Afterwards, everyone agreed that we needed a new leadership role that wouldn't be as corrupt as the previous ones. So, in the year VIII, we set up a system of consuls. However, C's was a bit of a fool, as he placed me in charge of creating the constitutions and the laws. So I may have swapped the constitution, in which placed me as first consul, which gave me all the power. I thought it was pretty funny. So I proceeded to kick the other 2 guys out and making myself the only consul. That's basically the entire story. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's move on to your time as consul. As some at home may know, you pioneered one of the most advanced legal systems of its time, the Napoleonic Code, which has influenced law across the globe.
Yeah. I remember penning that. Pretty cool, right? Basically, in 1804, I'm looking at my empire, which spans from the western coast of Brittany all the way down to northern Italy, and it's just so confusing, all the laws and legislation. You can't agree on what's what, because what's legal in Sicily, well, that's illegal in Parma, you know? It's just a whole big mess. So what I decided to do was I took all that up bunched up into one legal code and mass produced it across the entire country, putting it into effect. It was my magnum opus. I published it in March, and people really liked it, especially how I stomped out the last feudal remnants of the old French system. Now, I'll tell you what, I gave everybody freedom of religion and expression. Some people are going to try and claim that all I did was make life better for the free white men. But to me, I think that's just a red herring fallacy by losers who wish to diminish me. Trying to bring women and slaves into the conversation when no one was... Open the scroll, peasant! Hey.
But you did give rights to women and slaves, right? So, moving on.
Let him pass.
Moving on, let's discuss one of the bigger controversies that occurred pretty early on into your rule. What can you tell the viewers at home about your 1804 coronation?
Look, that event was completely blown out of proportion, and honestly, most of it was fake news. There's nothing wrong with a guy wanting to solidify his rule ceremoniously. Besides, I followed almost every traditional ceremony customs. But then I decided to take the crown from the Pope's hands and put it on my own head, and then everyone loses their minds. First of all, it's my empire. I can do what I want with it. Second of all, everyone else I'm fighting is a king or an emperor. Why can't I be one too instead of some lousy first consul? Oh, also, we took a vote, and it came back 99.93% in favor of me becoming emperor. So actually, it's y'all's fault for me. Y'all made me emperor.
And I hereby declare you emperor.
Give me that.
My crown.
Wow. So we only have time for one more question. Could you talk about your fall from power to where you are now?
Okay, so hear me out. After a series of defeats, I ain't heard no bell, and I was ready to keep fighting on and on. But my people actually couldn't. So, listen. I was exiled to the island of Elba, which is near Italy. But I came back. My return was momentous and honored because, well, after I was kicked out, the Bourbons had been restored to monarchy, but those guys can't rule for more than 5 seconds without causing a revolution. They sent an army to go capture me, but they immediately joined my side, and King Louis the 6th, 7th or something fled to Belgium. When the rest of Europe heard about this, they lost their minds, freaking out, and they summoned another coalition. This is the 7th one, I think. When I retook Paris, I gathered my armies, and I marched out. Austria, Russia, Prussia, and Great Britain were fighting me. But I knew Austria couldn't afford another war, and Russia was miles away. All I had to worry on was the Prussians and the British. But if I beat the Prussians first, I could turn on the British and wipe them out. Unfortunately, however, fate would not abide by me, and my army was routed at Waterloo.
Thank you for your time with us today, Napoleon. And we're sorry to hear what happened at the Battle of Waterloo.